You're listening to Zoom the TBT with Charge and Hayner.
Hey guys, it's Zoom the TBT, and we are excited to kick off our season proper. We're starting our team interview phase, and we are very excited to get a first-time team here. We always like to get the new teams on, always sort of our niche, always a lot of fun. And we have Run DFW today, co-GMs Braden, Griffiths, and Jake Ross. Gentlemen, how are you doing today?
Doing great. Thank you so much for this opportunity. This is something that we've been really looking forward to sharing with everybody, so I really appreciate it.
Yeah, don't worry. We have dozens of listeners, so
Yes,
hopefully
sir,
they hear
absolutely.
about it. Dozens of listeners. Okay, let's get right in this. You guys are a first-year TBT team. And we talked a little bit before we started the show about how you guys started. So, first of all, what is your background in TBT? And I guess, Jake, you want to start?
Yeah, so basically we started coming and watching the TBT when around 2021 was the first year. We kind of looked at each other after watching a couple of games. We were like, we could definitely do this. And then we came back and watched it the next year. And then this past year we actually worked for the TBT as team handlers, and we got to meet some of the people that are an integral part and making it all go basically. And so that was just really helpful to get the insight and be able to push us in the right direction.
And Braden, I believe you guys' title was it Unpaid Bozos, or what was the actual title you guys had at TBT?
It may as well have been. The actual title was team handlers. So we spent about 2 weeks in Wichita for the Super Regional. So we watched a ton of great basketball, and it was an awesome experience just to be able to connect with a bunch of the staff. And we really learned a lot in just a short period of time. So it was great.
And Jake, how are the crowds in Wichita? 'Cause I know they've been setting attendance records a lot the last few years. Like, you're going to a different region, but how was the Wichita crowd?
I mean, they're a really, really great crowd. I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty happy watching them lose to Heartfire last year. It was, just seeing their faces after that loss was pretty funny.
Well, I don't remember if it was
that's
last year or the
we
year
were.
before. I don't remember if it was last
This
year or
was
the year before, but they tackled somebody at the end of a game. Like, there was a foul that was like, were you guys? It was the year you guys were there, where basically somebody literally got like a takeout slide to get the ball back, and nothing was called.
Oh, that was Admin. That was Admin's game. Yep, Admin Gilder. His blue crew lost that game because their point guard got taken out by his knees, and then Connor hit that three. Yeah, that was
Yeah,
funny.
Frank
That was a
Camp
good
can hit
time.
shots, but he never should have even had that shot up. So, Braden,
Nope.
you guys are the youngest GMs in this, as per the website, which I find pretty interesting. Like, where does your inspiration to make this team come from?
Yeah, so for us, Jake kind of touched on it briefly. In 2021, when we were at the event, we were really there to support Admin Gilder and Josh and Zecor, who are two of our good buddies that we've met just through the Dallas basketball community, Lifetime Fitness, and just playing with them up there. So, whenever we went and we were like, what kind of team would we want? It just kind of came naturally that we wanted a team from Dallas-Fort Worth. And there's no shortage of talent in Dallas. So there's so many different guys that, that really fit our style of play from the area that we kind of targeted and highlighted. And so it's been kind of fun to really build it out. And it's going to be an honor, and it's going to be awesome to be able to represent the community in TBT. So it'll be great.
Let's build that a bit. I like that answer, Jake. Describe how basketball in what the style of basketball is in Dallas. Like, you guys it's Run DFW, which is Dallas Fort Worth. So what does the nation need to understand about the style of play in Dallas Fort Worth area? Like, how is basketball distinct? What's the regional barbecue sauced flavor of a DFW basketball community?
I mean, I'd say we're right in the middle of the country, so it's basically a mix of both. Like, we do run and gun, and then we also, we can go down low and get buckets down there. I mean, that's kind of what we want in our team, especially, is we want to be able to, throw it into whoever's our big guy, throw it in, be able to get a bucket off that, or we want to be able to score in transition and get up a lot of threes. And so we think that versatility is going to definitely help us against different teams, because most teams might play one style, but we want to be able to adjust for whoever we're playing.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, you guys both also played at the NII level, right? So, is there a chance you guys might suit up if you guys are down a guy?
So we're actually playing in a pro-am in Dallas Fort Worth this summer. And it's just kind of a chance for some of our guys to get to play together. And funny enough, I had to suit up on Sunday because we were down a guy. And so I had to get up and down with the guys a little bit. But no, there's almost zero chance that we'll suit up for TBT. Zero chance.
That's pretty hilarious. I mean, it's always interesting because like one thing that's we like talking about on this show is the non-alum teams. I mean, the alumni teams also get a lot of love because they have a built-in fan base. And there's something really interesting about that. And so we don't have a problem with alumni teams. They're really the lifeblood of the tournament. But the non-alumni teams, like you guys had mentioned, we were talking teams like Everline Drive was the team that I think you guys were incentivized or sort of inspired by to run this. Obviously, those guys are great friends of the pod, really great team, both had success in this. So like how is building a team differed when you're a regional non-alumni team versus an alumni team? Like how has it helped and hurt you in your building of a team and a brand?
I think for me specifically, the best part about it is there's so many different players that we can look at. The pool is so much larger. So it's like we can really be like selective with the kind of players that we want. And especially just being from Dallas Fort Worth, there's so many guys in this area who are high level pros or played high level, in their collegiate careers. So I think that's been a huge benefit. But as you mentioned, the biggest challenge is definitely just with building a brand. And I know for us, like Jake and I are both really thankful. We're really fortunate to have an awesome content team that's done an amazing job. Whether it's at our pro runs that we host, whether it's at Swin City Pro-Am that we were a part of that I briefly just mentioned, and they're doing excellent work. And so it's really been fun to just be able to get creative with it in terms of building a brand and trying to find our fan base.
Yeah, I love the fact you guys are really giving the content guys credit because part of we've had Dan Frill, who kind of runs the TBTs, the co-founder of it, and we have him on usually once a year to talk about the state of the TBT, like usually like the commissioner's address sort of thing. And he's been very open about the fact this is like 80% sports and 20% professional wrestling. Like you got to have villains, you got to have a storyline, because you have to make these teams care. So let's just go ahead and get the brass tacks. Obviously, you're not a alumni team, you have a built-in fan base. How is the casual viewer going to learn to care or respect or even become fans of the Run DFW squad in TBT?
I mean, personally, like I think that most of these guys have a unique story. Like every single one of them have gone through different things. Like Josh Nazikor, he played at Lamar University. That was his only D1 offer coming out of high school, excuse me. But he went over to Germany. He was cut in Germany. He went over to France. He played like half a season in France. Now he's in the G League. He's been over 5-6 different teams. And he just wants an opportunity to showcase what he can do. We've been telling him and admin especially the last 3 years that we're going to do this, and eventually we're going to do this because of y'all. Like we wouldn't have an opportunity really without them. And so guys like those that just have different stories, like admin took 3 years off after college and didn't play professional basketball. So getting him back into the sport and being a part of that is super cool for just like the child in us, honestly.
I see Braden wants to go ahead, Braden. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, just to briefly interject as well, like I also think it's pretty unique that Jake and I were able to try and start or achieve something like this as well when we were really just fans of the event. So I think some people can also relate to that in some ways, just like that really anybody can be a part of TBT in some ways. And so it's been an awesome experience for us just trying to build this thing out, and we're learning so much on a daily basis.
Definitely. I mean, it's the tagline they've kind of gotten away from, but the reason Charge and I are really fall in love with this event is the whole your team's your tournament thing. Like any group of clowns who's got a dream and some elbow grease to get a team together, and like some of those teams actually can become pretty good over time. I mean, again, like Everline's made a Final Four, or I think a final game, in fact. A lot of smaller teams who have been thrown together have really just earned it on the floor. If you can get 9 guys to a region and you can get hot, I mean, the underdogs have made a final 8 before, and they were just half their team was truck drivers at one point, I think, literally. I mean, so it really is kind of take your best shot and make a run at it. So I always kind of respect that story. Let's talk style of play. So, like, I'm looking at your roster. It's a very deep and interesting roster. A lot of TBT experience. We talk about specific guys, but like I'm noticing like a lot of like 6'2" to 6'6", like a lot of like in TBT 6'2" is like a large guard or even a small wing because the size isn't at the same premium in TBT because size usually ends up being harder to find this kind of event. So. Like, how's that going to help you defensively? Is it going to be very switch heavy defensively? Like, what kind of schemes do you guys think you guys are going to be running as a team?
Well, very, very switch heavy for sure. We want, like we discussed it with our coach Lee, and we wanted to just be a team that can get up and not have to hide anybody basically. We want to be able to switch almost every single ball screen, be able to guard that one guy, whoever it may be, and be confident that whoever's on the court can be able to do that. But and that starts with us getting stops, getting a rebound, and then we can start pushing in transition, which is really what we want to do. And if we get stuck in the half court, we got guys who are certified buckets in the TBT, like A-Rob and Admin Gilder, and we fully trust them to be able to get that done if we do have to do that. So.
Definitely, definitely, definitely. And you mentioned your coach, Neil Leyland, who has TBT coaching experience. He was the coach for the Fort Worth Funk, actually, in TBT. So how much have you guys leaned on him to help you figure out the process of getting a team together and getting it organized with a sort of professional sheen?
Lee has been amazing throughout this whole process. He's a leader. He's a great human being, and being able to kind of pick his brain on what he experienced in the event is really going to help us provide the best experience for our program and for our players. I think that's something that we've really prioritized with everybody that we've talked to. Is we've really wanted to pick their brain and learn about what they want to get out of this experience, regardless of just winning. Because I think if we're able to provide something where all that they have to worry about is playing the game, then I think that we'll have, a lot of on-court success because of that. And so Lee has played an integral role in just helping us get everything planned, situated. And not only that, but he's definitely a role model for both Jake and I. So I really appreciated the opportunity to work with him for sure.
That's very, very cool. Jake, real quick, talking a little bit about this. We talked a little bit about the fact the roster's still kind of getting there. Before we get to the actual roster getting there a little bit, talk to us a little bit about the fact that, well, actually, we'll go ahead and get to that. Like the fact you have TBT experience in the team. Like you guys are first-year GMs, this is a first-year team, but it doesn't lack TBT experience. So like you talk a little bit about the guys you've added who have certified TBT experience a little bit. Like Jake, who did you bring in that you really think has the sort of know-how to win games in TBT?
I mean, Admin Gilder for sure. I mean, I think he averages 18 or 19 points a game in the TBT. I mean, he's got up against, Wichita State when they've started getting those big crowds. A-Rob has proved time and time again that he can get a bucket and be the best point guard on the floor. Josh has went up against Wichita State as well and played really, really well. And guys like, Jeffrey Carroll even has an Elam Ender. So things like that, that just separate us to where we can put any guy on the floor. I mean, yeah, we have guys that don't have TBT experience, but those guys are just as hungry as the guys that do. We really think there will be no drop off when it comes to that. So.
Definitely, and having a certified, having an Elam Ender, that's a unique thing to this event is actually ending a game on a made bucket. Having a guy who's done that under pressure is a huge add for a first-year team. Braden, this is a really nice roster: switchability, ball handlers, shooters, defenders, wing stoppers. You've got everything except obviously this is Texas. We got to talk about beef. It's a very vegetarian roster. 168 guy, lacking size. Talk to me. Where's the size coming from? Where's the beef? Where's the steak?
Yeah, there's more size on the way for sure. There's a bunch of guys in this area that we've kind of been able to look at, we've had in the gym. And there's a number of guys that we think would fit and could be definitely successful in the TBT. I think the biggest thing for us is just making sure that we have the right one, the right fit, the right human being in the locker room. Somebody who, they're not so worried about their role. They just want to win games. Because I think that can play a huge role in a team's success is just making sure that there's no egos involved and that everybody's locked in on winning. So We definitely have some more size on the way for sure. Some versatile, unique skill sets, guys that can switch, guys that can shoot. And so it's going to be, more than anything, we've kind of touched on it before. We just want to be able to be flexible with our style of play. And so I think we have some guys that fit that model for sure.
So, Jake, obviously, if you've listened or watched our show, you know that we come up from different angles. My co-host, who's not here today, goes by the name of Charge. He's a huge Cleveland Charge fan. He's probably the G League's #1 fan in the world. And obviously, I believe Olin Carter has G League experience, correct? He played
Yes,
for
sir.
multiple teams, but he's also a Charge alum. Do you have any other Charge alums on the team?
I thought we might have. Oh, that's right. That's right. We did have one more. A-Rob. A-Rob is the other one that had some Cleveland Charge
There we go.
background. Yep. So they've been definitely interested in our Instagram posts and hyping us up a little. So we appreciate that from them for sure. We love having their guys.
So obviously, talking about the G League, obviously the G League has made leaps and bounds the last few years. So Braden, like, how do you feel about like having such a great domestic pool of players to draw from? The G League was never at the same high level it's starting to now, with the advent of the two ways, with the increases in the facilities being closer to teams. Like, has having a domestic player base helped you with your initial recruiting? Then you go and get the European players. Has that been how it's worked? You got the domestic players first, and then went to Europe to get your other players?
For sure. And I think for us, it's been super helpful just knowing that we'll have guys that are in the States that are, like you said, domestic, that we know that they can make a training camp. We know where they're at. And not only that, but their seasons don't go into the summer. So that's also been a tricky part is, trying to get guys that might be in Puerto Rico or so it's, I think it's been super helpful having, a really quality league where we can pull players from that we know the season won't extend so far that they won't want to play. So that's been super helpful for us, I think, in our journey is being able to get guys from the G League for sure.
I actually like to mention the whole league thing because we were always, as usual, kind of up against a very weird schedule because TBT exists in this sort of period in the summer where they can thrive, where this event really can get some traction. I personally am really excited about the Fox deal. Actually, I think that while there's going to be fewer games on streaming, the idea of having any over-the-air games, this is probably the biggest story of TBT this year, is the change in the rights deals. But you talk about the other leagues, I find it really interesting because again, we're up against Summer League. Like literally, Summer League is literally touching TBT this year, and obviously every player wants to play in the NBA. So like, do you have the depth to sort of survive if one of your players has to miss a game or two because they're partying in Las Vegas after scoring 20 and for the Summer League guys? Like, is that something that you guys have a contingency plan for?
100%.
Oh yeah,
Jake, keep going.
Yeah, absolutely, we do. We've not necessarily run into that problem with guys that are committed, but we've run into that problem with guys who are who we wanted to play, and they've told us, hey, I might go for Summer League this off season, so I can't like really commit. We've had guys who we've wanted to play that could be there for our first game if they leave early from Summer League, but we don't really want to do that. We told them, go do what y'all need to do to get contracts. That's kind of where we're at. What's best for them.
Definitely. It's always a weird thing because like you have to really want your players to succeed, but it is a scheduling problem due to like how the event is sort of scheduled. Braden, talking about that for a bit, obviously, one of the great things about all the players playing in this is basically the world's greatest job fair for European and overseas pros. Like basically, this is the best way to get a contract. So like, is there anybody who like you really are excited for the sort of world to see on a level they haven't seen before? Is there a player you think might really pop out of this event?
The biggest one to me is definitely DJ Burns from Youngstown
Mm-hmm.
State. He, as Jake kind of noted about some of our guys that don't have TBT experience, guys like Jace Townsend and DJ Burns are just hungry and they can't wait for this experience. DJ is 6'7". He plays the 3 and the 4, and he's maybe the best rebounder in the entire country. He's, the best role player that you could find for an event like this. Somebody who's willing to guard, somebody who can switch 1 through 5, somebody who's willing to do all of the dirty work and just play incredibly hard. And so I think he's somebody that's going to really show up in this event, somebody who's really going to benefit from this. Because if he has a few big rebound games, big defensive stops and key moments, like he could really separate himself from the pack. So I know Jake and I are both really excited just to get him to Dallas, get him, with some of our guys. He'll be here before the end of the month. So we'll kind of get him, connected and really help him start his network here. And so it's going to be awesome just for him to get this experience. I mean, he really deserves it. He's earned it. He was 4th in the country in double doubles this past year at 6'7", 5th in rebounds per game. So we're incredibly excited for DJ. Like he has everything out in front of him, and he has an awesome opportunity to really pop in this event.
Yeah, I think that's it's always the interesting thing about this is like who can pop and who can turn this into a bigger opportunity. It's always what this event at its core kind of ends up being about. Okay, let's talk a little bit about sort of the actual event. So first question, this is for you, Jake. You guys going to have a camp? Where's camp going to be? When's the camp? What's the deal? Like, how's the prep coming? Like, where are you guys meeting, and how long of a lead up are you guys going to have to TBT in Louisville?
So we kind of had to work around some AAU schedules this offseason that happens. I'm an AAU coach, so is Lee. So we are going to do training camp early July. It's July 6th through the 9th, and we're basically going to do 2-a-days. We've broken it to the players. Some of them, got little groans or whatever. But we're going to do 2-a-days during those times. And then we're actually going to be scrimmaging a team when we get to Louisville on the 18th of July. And that'll be good for our players to at least see, this team has played in it before. So it would be good for them to see just how, intense it could be.
Mm-hmm.
So looking a little bit at Louisville, Braden. So first of all, it's a kind of interesting region. So far, as of this taping, which is Wednesday, June 12th, we'll put this out hopefully later today or tomorrow. 7 of the 8 teams are on the website. I'm sure there's the 8th one's probably already known, but we don't really have it in front of us. But it's a very interesting region because there's only one alum team. Most regions have a lot of alum teams. Or there's two alum teams. There's United, which is the Bellarmine alumni, which actually that's technically their home stadium. They actually play in Freedom Hall, which is the Louisville's former stadium. But you have Louisville, the Ville, United. Then you have Fredette, DRC, Team Diesel, which is the former Gutter Cat Gang, which is also the former Team Hines, with a lot of experience and being backed by probably the greatest center of modern era. Then if Silent Cancer's gone very deep, who I'm pretty sure, I always wonder, but I'm pretty sure they're going to have their boy Marcus Keene back. And if they have Keene if they have Keene back, you guys are going to have a problem, obviously. But so out of those teams, you've got Team Diesel, you got Sideline Cancer, you have Fredette, Ville. And that's probably going to be your top 4 seeds in some order, with DRC, Run DFF, you guys, and United being the sort of bottom half of the bracket. Is there a matchup that you're looking forward to? Because you're probably going to get one of those top 4 seeds. If you could call your shot, who would you want out of those top 4? The Sideline, the Diesel, Fredette, or the Ville?
BG, can I take this one?
You can take this one.
I mean, we want Louisville. Like 100%. Like 100%. We want him. We want them, excuse me. I think that would be a crazy full circle moment for us. And just be, even if it doesn't work out in our favor, I think that will give the guys like the most or the best experience possible. And that will definitely get people to like for sure come back next year, like build up some sort of like hatred, because we don't really like the home crowds. We don't. We like to go for the visitors. We're underdogs type of people. So the Louisville is definitely the one we want, like 100%.
So Jake has definitely watched the show then before, because he knows what I'm about to say. Probably is I usually put a bounty on a team every year, on a bottle of whiskey or 2 for the team that beats the one that have a bounty. And the bounty this year is going to be on the Ville. I'm putting a bounty on the Ville. Last year, the Gutter Cat Gang got a bottle of whiskey off me for beating them, I think in the 2nd or 3rd round. So if you guys beat Louisville, you beat them, you will be drinking whiskey that night on me. I am putting a bounty on Russ Smith's. As a Memphis fan, I don't really like Louisville, so I'll be rooting for anybody that plays them pretty much every step of the way. So we'll definitely let Russ know that I'll be buying the Mr. and Mrs. Wonderful bourbon, that I'm sure he's a great guy. You'll be drinking his bourbon if you beat him that night. That would be a fun matchup. I would like that, actually. I would like that. I'd like that. That would be very amusing. Also, it'd crush the gate, so TBT would probably cry. If you get them, I assume the refs aren't going to help you literally at all. They're going to make every call go against you.
Right. Not at all.
They're going to be like, we need these 8,000 people here tomorrow. Just keep fouling them. We don't care. I could possibly.
We don't care.
Okay, one last note on the team. Obviously, you have a Cedric Henderson Jr. Everybody who watches the show knows I'm a huge Memphis fan. So any chance we can get the dad there so I can buy him a whiskey? I would love to meet Ced Henderson Sr., one of the greatest Memphis players of all time.
We will definitely try our best to get Cedric Henderson Sr. there. We know he's a coach too, so he probably has a super busy summer plan, but it would be an honor, obviously, to have him be a part of that whole moment. So we'll definitely try and get him out to Louisville for sure.
The best part is, I bet he could still play because he was a high flyer when he played at Memphis. He could jump out of the gym. It was insane. Even with half the vert he had back then, I'm sure he's still got a very healthy one. Okay, let's wrap this up, guys. It's been a lot of fun. Braden, let's close off you guys. What is the last impression that people watch the show need to understand about Run DFW?
I think the last impression would be just what an honor this is that we're able to, compete in this event, something that Jake and I have been watching for years. This is something that, we're not going to take for granted. This is something that's super special to both of us. We're going to make sure that we provide our guys the most professional experience possible. And we're also here to stay. This is an event that we want to be incredibly successful in, something that we want to, build a program, build a brand through. And so, this might be year one, and we can't wait for year one. We can't wait to get it started. But this is also a 5-year, 10-year plan. And so we can't wait just to get to Louisville, to get that first game under our belt, to get this first tournament under our belt. And so, like I said, I think if we could leave any impression, I think it'd just be that we're here to stay and that this is something that we can't wait to do year after year.
That's an awesome last impression to leave. Jake, anything you want to add, or does that pretty much close it up?
I mean, I think BG did a great job there.
Okay, perfect. Let's leave it there then. Gentlemen, I have Braden Griffiths and Jake Russ, the co-GMs of our freshman team, Run DFW. Always screwed up. Run DFW, going to Louisville, and they are going cardinal hunting, hopefully. Anyway, gentlemen, thanks for coming on.
Of course. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Yes, sir.
And this has been Zoom to TBT with Andrew Hayner, signing off.
Hope you enjoyed listening to Zoom the TBT with Charge and Hayner. Subscribe to YouTube, follow on Twitter, and give us your money.